What's up guys, Andre here, and today I'd like to implement a pricing table in Tailwind CSS. So here's the design I came up with in Figma. The general layout comes from the refactoring UI component gallery. As you can see, we're using the multi-tier chart layout here, and it looks pretty much the same as this, but I've added another column here. So we have 4 plans, and I've also pulled inspiration from other pricing tables. So for example, this empty cell where we have this annual and monthly switcher, I got that from Squarespace, as you can see. And if you scroll down to our table, we have other sections here. And I got this separator inspiration from Shopify here. And we'll also make it responsive. I have a design for that as well. And it's just going to be one table per column, and there'll be 4 of these, but I only have the design for one of them. And this is going to be separate from this. By separate, I mean totally different markup, and we'll just hide it and show it based on the width of the browser. So let's go ahead and get started. So I have this project here, which I've used in past videos, and it's just a place where I can put all the Vue components that I build out. So we'll put the pricing table down here. And right here, as you can see, I have a section for it. I also added this, which I built about a year ago, which is similar to this. You can change your plans, but you can take a look at that if you want. So I have a component here already. And as you can see, I'm using the full width of the container because for this, I only used a much narrower width. So as you can see, it is right here. And there's the component which will be starting in here. So I'm just going to paste in a generic table here, so you don't have to watch me type out the markup. And let me just indent this and remove the comment. And it's just a generic table with how many columns? 5 columns, which is what we need. And some generic data in it. So there's nothing in here. Let me show you how it renders. There we go. And we'll start from here. So let's first make it full width. So we'll do class equals width full, and it's default to text to the normal text size. Okay. Let me just put a margin on this so it appears in the middle. Or we can just put some text underneath. So I'll put a bit of a margin on it. Actually, here's what I'll do. I'll add some text underneath and I'll put a margin top on that. I gotta put it in this component. So let's add some text here. And we'll put a margin top on this. 16 or something. Just so we can look at it in the middle. Okay, cool. Okay, let's start with the table headings. So that would be these in the design. And as I said, there are 5 columns. And the design doesn't really have them equal column width, but I'm going to make them equal anyways. It's much easier that way. So let's go ahead and go back in here. And let's start here. So let's make it class equals width 1/5. Let's put some padding. Let's make it gray. Let's center it. And let's see how that looks. And for some reason my hot reloading is not working. Okay. So that's the first one, and we'll just paste in the rest. Let's do a few more things here. Add a border, say border gray 300. Actually, let's make it 400. And let's not make it bold by default. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And I'm going to put the padding at the end. I usually like to have the padding at the end. Okay, so let's just paste the rest in. 2, 3, 4, 5. And get rid of this. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And let's go ahead and put the headings in there. So this stuff over here, and again, we'll just paste it in after it's done. So we'll just do one. We'll start with hobby. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to make a section for the title, and this will be hobby, and it's going to be uppercase. It's tracking wide for the letter spacing. This is going to be bold, and let's make it text gray 700. Okay, cool. Actually, that's supposed to go in the second one. So let me just move this one up. Okay. And I'm not going to worry too much about the fonts. I'm just going to use whatever font this is, the default font. I believe it's on System UI right now. And what else? Let's work on this section over here. So as you can see, these are different font sizes. So I'm going to have different spans for them. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to make a div, put a margin top of 3, and then we'll have 3 spans in here. Okay. And the first one is the $sign. The second one is the value. So this one's 15, and this one's per month. And let's make this large. And for the value, let's make that bold. And really large. Text 4 XL. And let's give it a margin left. And then for the month, let's give it a margin left as well. And let's make it small. Okay, see how it looks. Okay, it looks pretty good. Just put a space here. And here too. Actually just there. Cool. Okay, looks good. And let's go ahead and add the button here. So just a generic looking button. So let's go ahead and do that. So that would be after this div. Let's make another container. And let's give it a margin top. And let's make this a link. Should be a link. Let's say sign up. And let's give it a bunch of classes to make it look like a button. BG blue, let's use 500. Let's add a hover color on it as well. Just make it white. Let's give it the same text size. I think that inherits. Let's see. Let's make it inline block. Let's make it rounded. Let's make it width 4/5. And let's give it some padding. Okay. Okay, it looks pretty good. Hover state works. I want this whole thing to have a bit more padding, so I think for these PY4s, I'm going to change them to 6s. It doesn't matter, I'm going to copy this one anyways. So let's get rid of these 3. And let's duplicate 3 more of these. 1, 2, 3. Wait, that was 2? Yeah, that was 2. And 1 more. I can't count. Okay, cool. Looking pretty good. So let me go ahead and just change these behind the scenes. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and just remove this cell over here. So for this first cell, let's not give it a border. And let's make it the same color as the background. So it's 100. And let's see if that, yeah. And let's say align top here just so the text is on the top. Okay, cool. And let's not center it, so we can remove this. Okay, I think I need to add text left for that to left align. Okay, cool. Okay, so we'll work on that later. Let's just move on to the rest of the table. Okay, so let's just work on these cells here. So they have some nice padding and they match the borders of the headings. So let's go ahead and go to that section. So right here, let's just add some classes here. So border, same border as the headings, border gray 400, and let's add the same padding as the headings as well. And yeah, let's just duplicate those 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, looking pretty good. And let's go ahead and add however many rows there are. So how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So I'll go ahead and do that behind the scenes. Actually, I want these centered as well. So let's add text center. This one actually should be left aligned and these ones should be centered. If you look at the design, this is left aligned and these are centered. So let's add text center here. Text center. And the first one is not. So let's say text left. Cool. Looking pretty good. And I'm just going to add the same for these rows. 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. We can get rid of this. Okay. Awesome. And now I'm just going to fill in this content here. So you don't have to watch me do that. Okay, so I filled in the content here. And no, you're not just limited to numbers here. You can add longer form text and you can add multiple lines similar to what we did up here. So the next thing I want to do is add some zebra striping here. It's not in the design I have, but I think it looks pretty good. And it actually was just added to Tailwind version 1.1. So let's take a look at how to do that. So if you go to the Tailwind docs, let's look for even. So there you go, even child. Somewhere down here, hover, focus, active. First child, last child. So I think these ones were added in Tailwind version 1.1. First child, last child, odd and even. So the way to use it is just to prefix it with even or odd. But we also have to make sure we add it as a variant in here. So we have to add odd and even. So for the background color, that's what we'll be changing. So let's go ahead and do that. Do I have variants in my Tailwind config? Okay, so I do. And let's just see what the default one does. So let's go in here and let's look for variants. Okay, so we just have to grab this and we have to add even odd to this in order for us to use it. And let's add even odd. Okay, let's save that. And now we can make use of it. So let's go back into our pricing table. And it's going to be for each row. We have to add this. So let's do this. How many are there? 5? Okay, so for odd, I want it to be BG white. And for even, BG gray. Let's make it 100, so it's slightly lighter than the table headings. And did that work? Okay, it did. You might not be able to see it. It's kind of subtle, but I like it. So yeah. Okay, let's move on to the different separators. So as you can see, I have an extra separator here and one here as well. And then the table continues with just features. So let's go ahead and do that. So after all these rows, we add another row here. And this one's going to be the same color as the same background as the table heading. And as you can see, I'm setting the background on the table row, not the table cells, the TDs. And that so applies to the whole row. And we still want the same border. But now the border only applies to, like I said, the entire row. So you won't see the borders for the cells. Border gray 400. And for the first cell, that's where we want the heading to be. So it's going to be uppercase and then tracking wide. And let's make it semi-bold. And this one, the heading will be called More Features. Actually, I forgot the padding. PX4, PY6. Okay, let's see if this looks okay. And there it is. But as you can see, it's only applying to this one. So we have to add just empty cells here. So we have to add 4 empty cells. Let's do that. TD times 4. Cool. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And now we can just grab what we did here and just paste it in. So I'm just going to grab like 4 rows, whatever is here. Yeah, it's just 4. So yeah, let me grab that and paste it in. So let's just grab 1, 2, 3, 4. And this will go here. Okay. Awesome, looking pretty good. And we can just grab another one if you want in that section. So I'm going to do that. So let's grab this, including the heading. And let's just duplicate that. Cool. And there we go. Awesome. So let me go ahead and change these to check marks. So let me show you my process. I use this app called Icon Jar, and then I just look for an icon that fits my needs in these icon sets that I have. Most of them are free. So I'm just going to use this one. Let's copy as SVG inline code. And usually I optimize it using SVG OMG. Just paste it in here. And it's usually it gives a preview here, but it's not for some reason. Let's see if it renders. So which one I'm going to do? I'm going to change this first one. So shipping discount, more features. So it's up here. No, that's this one. Yeah, it's this one. Let's see if anything renders in here. Okay, so it does. Let's obviously just make it smaller and make it blue. So we can do class equals, let's say 6, height 6. Okay, cool. I think I need to make it inline block or block to center it. Cool. And let's make it text blue 500, just like the button. That's not going to change it yet. We have to change the fill. We can do this, I think. Or is it fill current? Yeah, it's fill current, or you can do, which is what I prefer, fill equals current color. And then we don't need this, the same thing. Okay, so I'll go ahead and fill in these check marks behind the scenes, and maybe I'll change this content to this content. Okay, so I added the check marks and our pricing table is looking pretty good. So one thing I like to add is adding position sticky to the table headers. So when we scroll, it stays fixed to the top and we can see what we're comparing here. So if you take a look at this article, it says you cannot position sticky AT head, but you can position sticky ATH. So that's what we'll do. So Tailwind does have a utility for position sticky, and it's named sticky. So let's go ahead and add that class to our THs. So up here. So let me just grab this, and 3, 4, 5, and just add it to the end here. Say sticky. And we also need to do top 0. And that should make the header sticky as we scroll. So as we scroll, there you go. You can see it stay to the top when we're scrolling through the table, which is great. And when we're done scrolling, it should stop, but there's not enough here, so it just stays there. Okay, now let's add some interactivity, and I'll add the toggle here. So similar to what we have in Squarespace, we'll have a toggle for monthly and annually pricing. And I'm going to use a Vue toggle component. And the one I'm going to use is called, I believe it's this one. Yeah, it's this one. Okay, so let's go to the GitHub page. And let's go ahead and install it. Let's go here, install it. And to use it, we just have to import it and then Vue.use it. So we'll go into our main.js. And let's go ahead and put it up there. So let's put it here. And I'm going to put this down here. Okay, it's done. Let's see how to use it. We just have to add a V model to it. Let's go ahead and do that. So where's this going to go? It's going to go in here. So that'll be next to hobby, or in this one right here. What happened here? Okay. Yeah, sorry. I don't know what happened here. Should be a TH. Cool. And let's go ahead and put that toggle in here. And I'm going to make a variable named isMonthly. So by default, it's false, meaning it's annually. So that can be a bit confusing, but I just want to keep it as a Boolean. So let's grab this. Do I have a template script section? I don't. Let's go ahead and add it. Export default. Okay. Data return. Okay, so false. And that should render, hopefully. Okay, there it is. Cool. So a few things here. I just want to change the color of it, or the switch color. And I just want to make it the same color as the button. So let's go here. Where is it? Just change the switch color to just the color of the button. So just this. Okay. And I also want to change the color of the actual toggle. So as you can see, by default, it changes color when you check it. And I just want it to be one color. So I'm just going to paste it in. Just make it the same color for checked and unchecked. And that should do it. There we go. Cool. And now I just want to add the labels to the left and to the right. And let's do that. So if you look at the design here, we have annually and monthly. And then we have this save up to 30% by paying annually. So let's go ahead and put this in a div. And let's put another section here. Let's make a class of text blue 600. Let's make it a bit smaller and say save up to 30% by paying annually. Okay. And let's put a margin top on that. Say 4. Okay. And now let's add the labels now. So there's going to be 2 before and after. So this one is annually. And then this one is going to be monthly. Okay. See how that looks. Cool. Let's give it some padding on the right and padding on the left for this one. Margin and ML3. Cool. And let's make it semi-bold. So everything. Okay. And I want to de-emphasize the one that's not selected. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's both make them text gray 500. So they're both de-emphasized. And we'll conditionally add text gray 700 to the one that's selected. So let's start with this one. So I can just do class equals, then we can give it an object, say text gray 700 if is monthly, and this one goes here. And the same for the other one, and this should toggle between de-emphasized and emphasized text. Okay, see if this works. Sorry, the first one is not is monthly. Yeah. Okay, cool. There we go. Awesome. And now, obviously, when we change this, we want these prices to change. So the way I did that was I stored the plans and the prices in an object. And so let me show you what I did here. So I'm going to paste it in the object just to save some time and just talk through it. So I have a plans object, and it has all the plans, so hobby, growth, business, enterprise, and you can add more stuff related to the plans, but we only have price. We also have price, and within price we have per year and per month, and the prices accordingly. So it's kind of a bit too nested. I mean, you can just have 8 variables and no nesting, but this is the way I did it. And now we just have to replace the prices based on whatever's selected here. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go to 15. So this one is the hobby. So we just have to do a conditional here, and I'll use a ternary. So if it's annually, so that's not is monthly. Then we do plans. This is hobby, price per year, else plans hobby price per month, and that's it. Cool. This should work for this, and then we can just add it to the others. So let's refresh, and now there you go, you can see that change. So yeah, we just have to add the same for the others, which I'll do behind the scenes, and this should be dynamic. Cool. Okay, so I switched it out, and now this should work. Awesome. Okay, now let's quickly do mobile. We'll do just one of the cells like I showed you in my design. Not one of the cells, one of the tables. So we'll have a table. So this will be one for each plan. One for hobby, one for growth, one for business, one for enterprise, and it will have these. And what I did for the features was just add a few of them, and not all of them, because if I added all of them, then it would get too long to scroll, because we have this and then we have the other plans. So I got this idea from Squarespace as well. So if you look at their responsive table, pretty much does the same thing. So if we do this, you'll see that they only show some of the features, then you can toggle it. So we'll just do something basic without the JavaScript there. So let's do this really quickly, just for that one, and then we'll call it a day. So I'm going to do it with both visible now, so I'll just put it right underneath the table for now, and then we'll toggle it based on the width of the browser. Okay, so after the table. Okay, so it needs a root component, so I have to make a div here. Or you can just make another component if you want. I'm just going to put in the same component. And this one will be the mobile table. Let's move this up. Let's just name it here, mobile table. Okay, and let's just put a large margin on it for now, just because we're working with desktop right now. So it should be right underneath here. So let's say mobile table here. Cool. and just give it a margin top. Actually, let's see if we can work like this. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. So this will be the container for one of the plans. So text center, same border, and let's go to text base as well. That did not work. I forgot the dot. Okay. And this container will be the container for the header. So BGK gray 300, PX4, PY4. So plan is here. So the first one's hobby. Okay, so looking pretty good. And we pretty much just have to copy what we have up here because it looks pretty much the same. So this part right here, just without the button's on the bottom. So I think we can just get away by copying that. So again, I have two separate tables because the layout's really different. So if you change something, you have to change it in both places. So let me just grab the hobby plan. Where is it? So I'm just going to grab these two here because this is the plan name and this is all the price stuff and we don't need the button. So back down here and let's add that right in here. Okay. Let's see how this looks. Maybe we can make the price a bit smaller. We'll see. Actually, that looks pretty good. Okay, now let's add the different prices here. And as you notice, I'm not using a table here because it's fairly straightforward and I don't think we need a table for this. We can just make use of Flexbox. Okay, so that would be that one. Sorry, this one, and then this will be the next section. So let's go ahead and add this. So it's going to be flex px3 py4, and let's also add the even odd striping. So bg gray 200, even bg white. Okay, and let's see how this looks. Actually, it's flex, so we have two sections here, two flex items. This is one and the value is the other. Okay. So this is the left aligned text, left, and let's give it a width of 3/5, and whatever the heading is. And then the other one is width of 2/5, and it's centered, so we don't need this. And this is just a value. So in this case, it's 3. See how that looks. Okay, cool. And let's duplicate it however many times. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3 more times. Actually, this is the same. We just have to change the content. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is the same. We just got to change the button. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. Okay, cool. Looks pretty good. So let me just add the button down here. So the last one is not flex. And we just have to grab the button. So let me grab the button. And I'm going to change a few things here. And this one is no longer a flex item. We don't need this. Okay, let's add that. See how it looks. Cool. And I'm going to change the width to a fixed width of 64. Okay, cool. And let's just add this feature section here. And it's getting pretty long, so I'm just going to paste it in. It's just an unordered list with an SVG. So it's the second last one. Again, this is not flex anymore. And we don't need this stuff. So let's paste it in. It's just an unordered list. And I have a list item, an SVG, and the feature. So usually I would just use some custom CSS for this and just set the background item to the SVG. But this is the way I have it in my project, and this is fine, I guess. So there it is. It's looking pretty good. And now all we have to do is hide this at a certain breakpoint and show this at a certain breakpoint. So the breakpoint I'm going to use is large, which is 992 pixels, I believe. So this mobile table at large is hidden. And it's also changed this. So it's only MX32. Actually, no, that doesn't matter because it's medium. We'll see. Okay, so it should be hidden now. Actually, not now when I do this. Okay, it's gone. Cool. And now we just have to show this one, or hide it on mobile and show it on desktop. So again, let's look for the table. Let's just say on mobile it's hidden by default, and large it's display block. Okay, so that should do it. Let's take this out now. So here is our desktop view. Cool. And we have a mobile view as well once we get below a certain width. And there it is. Cool. And obviously you have to add the rest of the plans here, but that's looking pretty good. So there you have it, guys. We've managed to build this pricing table using Tailwind CSS. We added some interactivity with Vue, and we made it responsive. Hope you found it interesting and you can use it in your projects. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Okay, thanks. Bye.